I'm not angry. Shut up. I'm not angry. Fuck you. How dare you think I'm angry? I'm a fucking saint! I'm not angry. I'm passionate, god damn it! At what point do you have to accept that you're angry, delusional, obsessive, or all three, and not just passionate? The internet is a horrible place. When you can encounter things like malware, spyware, the dark web, and worst of all, cringe, it feels like we should burn it all down and start from scratch. But then I lose all my monkey JPEGs, so we can't do that. I know burning down the internet wouldn't work, not only because it's not composed of the materials necessary to achieve a combustion reaction, but because if we were to start from scratch, the same shitty people that make it a shitty place would find new shitty platforms to spout their shitty takes. Now when I speak of these shitty people, I'm not talking about all the people that have opinions that don't align with mine. I'm talking about objectively awful people that should be placed in a cement box for the rest of their lives where they can reflect on how stupid they are, like neo-Nazis or people who do pranks on TikTok. If you are a semi-rational human being, and my last statement didn't send you into a blind rage where you left an Iliad-sized comment explaining why genocide is a good idea, then I can imagine you are able to avoid these kinds of communities on your own, because you can smell them from miles away. So this video is not going to focus on these obvious cultural cesspools. I want to focus on the terrible communities that act as a shell to repel outsiders from something great. We'll be talking about annoying internet fan bases. League of Legends is a multiplayer online battle arena, aka MOBA, that is known for having an extremely toxic community. I've never had any desire to play LOL, not only because I don't want to have to replace my mouse after every single match, or because the game doesn't look fun in the slightest. I had no desire to play League before I even knew what it was. The reason being my friend who played. Every time he would play this game, he would look and sound miserable. I asked him why he seemed this way when he played, and he said it's because everybody is so toxic. I took this as the game must be really damn fun then, which he then denied it's not. So the community of League of Legends prevented me from even giving the game a chance, which in this case I'm actually thankful for. But what about a game I've played and like that has a toxic fan base? Rocket League. Rocket League is soccer or football, but with cars. The gameplay is very responsive, clean, and polished. It is a very high quality game. The mechanics are simple, so it's easy-ish to pick up, but it has a very high skill ceiling. It's super fun. I don't play Rocket League anymore. The community of Rocket League is very toxic, and it sucks because it's enough to ruin the game. The toxicity in Rocket League is interesting because there is a chat that you can write custom messages in, but the game is so fast-paced that no one really uses it. Instead, people use preset quick chats that say things like, "Nice shot," "Good touch," "Me have it," "What a save," and the like. This doesn't seem so bad at first, but then you get people who will spam the chat ironically with things like "nice shot" when you miss, or "what a save" when you let in a goal. This is annoying, but it's not that bad. I'm a big boy. I can handle some ridicule from a petulant child. The worst thing that the players of this game do is throw matches and actively sabotage their own team. Rocket League players get so pissy over the smallest things. The opposing team will score within 1 minute of the game starting, and one of your teammates will just leave or try to forfeit the instant it happens. They'll blame you for something that was clearly their fault, then try to solo the entire match, which involves things like stealing the ball from their own teammates, only to fail miserably. Or they'll hit teammates on purpose and try to score on their own team because they're spiteful, vindictive little shits. I love Rocket League, but I can't play it anymore because of these little assholes. This toxicity is everywhere in competitive online games these days, though. I don't even want to know what Call of Duty lobbies are like now. I think the reason why this toxicity is so prominent is that many online games are free to play, so many more children are playing them. Children that can't control their emotions, whose minds have been rotted by shitty, toxic influencers on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Even Minecraft is considered a toxic community. Minecraft! What the fuck? Shit's whack and not the wiggity kind. Also, I would like to mention, my friend has since quit League of Legends. He is doing a lot better, and I definitely think it has helped him improve his mental health. If you or a loved one has suffered from League addiction, please get help. There are plenty of avenues for you to explore and liberate yourself from this dreadful game. I will link a help service in the description of this video. Stay strong, stay safe. Obviously, toxic communities are naturally going to deter self-respecting people from experiencing whatever it is this community is surrounding. But what happens when the community's interest is so relentless that it borderlines on obsessive? Take the Undertale community, or Foxheads as I call them. I may be late to the party by 5 to 8 years on this, but it's one of the biggest examples of an obsessive community that I can think of. Undertale is an indie RPG created by Toby Fox, hence Foxheads. Heavily inspired by the Mother series, it's a cute, quirky, 8-bit adventure with silly turn-based combat. The game is full of fun, unique characters that you have a choice of killing or not. That may sound really dark, and it kind of is, but that is one of the things that sets the game apart. Every enemy encounter gives you the choice of fighting normally, or pacifying the enemy through non-violent means. And the game is designed for the non-violent combat to be more enjoyable. Instead of just hacking away at an enemy over and over again, you can choose to try and understand what it is they want by watching what they do and say. It turns the combat into an empathetic puzzle where at the end you can spare the monster's life instead of just smacking it until it dies. It's a very fun and interesting take on the turn-based combat that I very much enjoy, and I normally don't like turn-based combat. And the soundtrack kicks ass. Why am I taking so much time to describe Undertale? It's mainly to emphasize the sins of the community. Undertale is a game that is meant to be for everyone's enjoyment, including children. It's not necessarily a game for kids, but it is a game made with everyone in mind. People loved Undertale, still do, and for good reason. It's a fun little game with great music and charming characters that you can't help but like. But some people maybe like them too much. After Undertale gained traction, the size of the community exploded. People began doing the unfortunately normal fanbase stuff, like creating new lore and canon, making OCs, shipping characters they thought would be a good romantic match, shipping characters they thought would be a good power match, shipping everyone together, shipping their OCs with their favorite characters, and of course, porn. It seems like not safe for work art is inevitable with a big enough fanbase, but I have a hard time finding it okay when most of the community is children. I'm sure these were in their own sub-communities, but even now, 8 years after the game came out, if you look up Undertale, then a character's name, on Google, some of the first results are a sexualized version of the character or even something safe search blocks. It's something that people outside the community are exposed to, so it stands to reason that people in the main community would be exposed to it as well. What I find to be the strangest thing is that the characters in Undertale look like this. Compare this to another game community flooded with not safe for work material that I definitely only know from researching for this video. Overwatch. Nerf this, more like nerf this ass. Am I right? Black Widow? No. The Widower. What the fuck is her name? The blue chick with the gun and the butt. You know the one. It's Widow. It's like Widow's in the name. Is it? It's not Black Widow though. That's like the Marvel thing. Widowmaker? Widowmaker! It's Widowmaker. Okay, yeah, Widowmaker. Jesus, that went on for a long time. Is it obvious I don't play Overwatch? And that this part isn't scripted? Where the fuck was I? It makes sense for Overwatch to inspire so much not safe for work content because, I mean, look at it. But then look at Undertale. The character sprites are non-sexual and are made of like 4 pixels. But hey, I guess that won't stop someone from making fan art of 2 skeleton brothers boning. The fan art is not the only thing that deterred people from playing Undertale, it was also just the community's behavior. I believe they've calmed down a lot since then, hopefully. But when Undertale was at its peak of popularity, the fans were fucking rabid. If you criticized anything about the game, they would tear you asunder, dox you, punch your dog. They were awful. Which is incredibly ironic coming from a community obsessing over a game with empathy as one of its main themes. Whoever was outside the community that didn't know anything about Undertale would look at the people surrounding it, praising it, making weird art of it, and think, this just isn't for me. Many of my friends, to this day, still haven't played Undertale, and it's because of the impression the fanbase left on them. Which is incredibly frustrating because Undertale is such a great game. One of my favorite TV series of all time has such an annoying and shitty fanbase that I had to be convinced by 2 close friends to even give it a try. That show is Steven Universe. If you have ever seen my channel before, You may have noticed that I actually have a video on Steven Universe. This is because I truly think it is phenomenal and more people should give it a chance. So what does the community do that prevents people from wanting to experience such a great animated series? Well, as I mentioned with Undertale, there's the shipping and degenerate Rule 34 stuff that seems to be unavoidable in any fanbase of this size, no matter what age the original series is created for. However, this is thankfully much less apparent in this community, as far as I know. The thing that really irks me is the community's misunderstanding of the series. Much of Steven Universe's praise comes from its LGBTQIA+ themes, which it rightfully deserves. It was the first children's cartoon show to really depict non-binary characters and relationships. It was also the first Cartoon Network show to earn a GLAAD Media Award. Clearly, these themes are pretty prominent in the show, but they're not the only thing this show has to offer. Steven Universe covers many more topics than just the matters relating to LGBTQIA+. Much of the story comes from the personal experiences and struggles Rebecca Sugar, the show creator, has lived. The show is an expression of herself and her life. It's truly art. And it's a miracle to see something so real in an industry as constrained and commercialized as children's television. There's so much to appreciate about this show, but it seems the fan base is only focused on the LGBTQIA+ aspects. And worse off, they pervert the messages to push their own personal agendas. To an outsider, this kind of behavior makes the show look like it's trying to force these ideals down your throat, when in reality it presents them in a non-assertive and respectful way. These aggressive actions the fanbase take scare away so many potential fans. I've even seen members of this community attack others for the stupidest little reasons, like making fan art of a character as a different race, or drawing a concept for a character that is thinner than they are in the show, before the character's image was even revealed. These things were not harming anyone, and yet the fanbase has gone so far as to push someone to make an attempt on taking their own life. This behavior is beyond hypocritical when in reference to a show you praise so much for being inclusive. It's like they don't even understand what it is they claim to love. This is why I hate obsessive fan bases, more so than toxic ones, because at least people within toxic fan bases know the fan base sucks, whereas obsessive ones are so delusional that they lose sight of why people even love this thing in the first place, and ruin the reputation of this thing they claim to love so much. I've always had this view on fan bases. I've never paid attention to them because frankly I thought they were all filled with psychos. But after researching for this video, I've come to realize something. It's not the community as a whole. There is a game called Ultrakill. It is a fast-paced first-person movement shooter currently in early access. It is one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played. The controls are tight, it feels great to play, and it's non-stop action. Super, super fun game. My friend who goes by Dumpster Man on YouTube and Twitch, check out his stuff, had his channel pop off because of his Ultrakill content. So he is involved in the Ultrakill community, whether he likes it or not. I had heard really weird and frustrating stories about the community's actions and behavior from him. The way I interpreted it, it sounded like the community of Ultrakill was 50% children that had never played the game, which was baffling considering it is an M-rated game that isn't even released yet, and the main draw is how good the game feels to play. But when I looked into the community, I found that they were far more well-behaved and matured than I thought. From what I've seen on Reddit, Steam, and social medias, the community seems pretty chill and supportive, as long as you don't bring up Doom Eternal. This made me think it may be a few people in Dumpy's community that made him feel that way, but they were the most vocal, which in turn made me come to realize that this must be what it's like for most, if not all, fan bases. The loud minority is so apparent that they are seen as the whole. If you aren't involved with a specific fan base or community, you're probably not going to hear about that fan base or community unless something pretty nasty happens that makes drama news. That is now your first and only impression of that community, which it's easy to just chalk up to most people in that fan base must be like that. I have so much sympathy for the good people in a community that is seen as toxic or annoying because I know what it's like to have something I love be associated with terrible people. But I can't imagine how frustrating it is to have so much love and be so passionate about something only to be branded as a shitty person because of a few bad apples. So I'm curious. What are some pieces of media that have notoriously annoying or obsessive fan bases? Leave any suggestions in the comments, because what if this media really is that good and we're all just missing out? Also, if you know of any elusive, wholesome fan bases that you want to give a shout out. I've heard Death Stranding has one of the nicest communities out there because everyone just works together and helps each other. There are worse things on the internet, but fan bases sure can ruin some of the stuff you love. The real problem is the few angry, delusional, and obsessive individuals that won't shut the fuck up. We can't force people to change, but maybe we can train our ears to ignore all the screaming and listen to those who deserve to be heard. Peace.